Hello and welcome to the High Ground Podcast. This one has been a long time coming. We are going to be talking all about our girl Rey Skywalker today and have an awesome cast as usual, but we're going to dive into her story, her history, and what we find compelling about the character. So all that's happening right now on the High Ground. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining me here on the High Ground. We are going to talk about our favorite scavenger, Rey Skywalker. And real quick, I'm going to do some shout outs here. Goldman, your stream the other day was awesome. I was happy to be part of it. Aiden Talk Star Wars is here. Export Gamer Skills, Roger, Michael Parson, St. Pat, Parker D2, Xanatos, Harris, DePaul, Amber Medina, Chris Martinez, Brandon Fox, Levi Bond, Ghostface Kai. Awesome group. Element 7, of course, my dyad. Malik is in the house as well. I have Malik on sometime soon, but just want to shout out because we always have awesome groups. Also, Rhonda with the book is in the chat. She's here, but she's there too. So that's awesome. All right, I want to get started by kind of going around, have you guys introduce yourself. So we'll just do, who are you? Where can we find your awesome stuff? And we'll keep it simple this time. What do you love about Star Wars? Because we want to get to know a little bit about you guys as well. I'll go to Meegs first.
Okay, hi. I'm Meegs. You can find me Fangirl Meegs on TikTok, and I just recently joined Instagram. And what do I love about Star Wars? To me, Star Wars is family, it's love, it's good versus evil. We get friendship and bravery and politics and justice and fashion of queens and handmaidens and relationships of mentors and mentees. And I don't know, not everyone is watching The Bad Batch, but there's a moment in that show when Omega is on a ship for the first time flying through hyperspace, and we see the stars in her eyes, and I feel like that is how I see Star Wars. It is like this complete joy and beauty, and I love it so much.
Awesome. I love it. Also I gotta do a shout out, and I was not asked to do this, but I do know that Meegs is trying to put together a cosplay for Ahsoka, and so I'll have to find the link. I might make a post about it later, but any help towards doing it, I appreciate it. So one of the reasons I love Meegs is she does speech therapy, and I've talked about before, I had every speech impediment known to mankind. I was in speech therapy myself for like 4 to 5 years, and it changed my life. I wouldn't be doing this right now if it weren't for people like her. So I want to support whatever we can. I'll find a link to her. If you can find a link to her coffee or whatever, let me know. So that'd be awesome. Anyway, sorry for that deviation. Rhonda, you're up next.
Wow, how do I follow that? Hi, I'm Rhonda. I am on TikTok at Rhonda Talks About Books, like TOKS about books. And I do actually talk about books on there. And Star Wars too. I also produce and co-host a podcast called Popo DNA that digs into the literary and cultural influences in popular media, and that is available on all major podcast platforms. And what I love about Star Wars, I'm gonna give a very abstract and esoteric answer. I love the mythic quality of Star Wars. I feel it was intentionally designed to be kind of our modern mythology. And so I think that it appeals to us on a very deep psychological level, which is probably why so many people get so angry about things in Star Wars. And, I just think that it appeals to our desires for like adventure and meaning and belonging. Like when Star Wars is at its best, like that is what is at its core. So I feel like that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. No, I love it. And that was definitely what Lucas was going for.
Mhm.
And I think he succeeded far more than anyone else from, I don't know, this generation. I think, what's going to be the next Star Wars? That's a good question.
I think it's just going to be more Star Wars, honestly.
I mean, I'm game. All right. And then we have All Things Nerd Girl.
Hi, I'm All Things Nerd Girl on TikTok and Instagram, and Nerd Girl on YouTube. The things that I love about Star Wars is very similar to Fangirl Meegs. I love the family aspect and how everyone has a place somewhere, and just everything about it.
Awesome. I love it. I will. You have a little bit of an echo there. I don't know if there's a.
I think it's just my room.
Okay. No worries. And last but not least, there will be Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. You can follow me on TikTok and Twitter at ThereWillBeNick with no K. I'm a writer, author, book editor. I've seen, I think, 2 Star Wars movies in my life, once each. And I think what I like the most about Star Wars is I love science fiction. I love big, grand stories and like grand storytelling. And Star Wars just spans such like a massive breadth of time and covers so many themes and topics. I don't know, there's just something in it for everybody. And I love that about Star Wars.
Awesome. I love it. Happy to have everyone on. All you guys just make such great points all of the time in the comments. And so it's just amazing. Let's see. We have Harith saying Speech Therapy Squad. He was in it. Xanatos as well. DePaul dropping some love, unofficial sponsor. I always appreciate you, man. We have that Star Wars guy dropping by also to drop some love. Man, you guys are just awesome. Says, damn, Nick got a new mic. I saw the podcast you were on before, and I think you definitely upgraded. Malik says this panel is awesome, so, and it certainly is. All right, let's jump into it. I wanted to start because I know it's going to. I don't want it to seep into our comments and stuff like that as we're going along. So I wanted to jump right into the backlash, and we'll start. And Nerd Girl's internet connection has been going on and off, so she'll pop in and out from time to time. So don't worry about that. But with the backlash and negativity, what are the common things that you guys hear? Are they right? What are they missing? I just want to start off by addressing kind of that elephant in the room. And for this one, I'll go to Rhonda first.
I think probably most people would agree. The biggest one you hear is that Rey is a Mary Sue. I can't count how many times I have read that comment. And I mean, I don't want to like step over what anyone else was wanting to say about that, but I just think regarding the whole idea of a Mary Sue, it's so like the term itself is often used incorrectly and with either covert or overt sexism, and I think that definitely is the case when it's applied to Rey, most of the time. But I remember it was a few months ago, somebody commented on one of my videos about Rey saying that like Rey is a Mary Sue, but like so are Luke and Anakin, and that's kind of the point of Star Wars, is that like they're supposed to be these characters that we project ourselves onto, and like in a sense, like I think that does that is kind of true, like going back to like how Star Wars is kind of like mythology, like it's this hero that you are going on a journey with and kind of seeing your own identity through that hero's journey. so in a sense, like I see like how you can say that they're all Mary Sue's, but I think with Rey, it is very different, because if a Star Wars viewer can very easily identify with Luke or with Anakin, but not with Rey, then there's something going on there. Like which of these things is not like the others, you know? So.
Sorry. Yeah, I definitely see that a lot, and it feels like how do I put it? When I play Mass Effect, I have trouble making my character evil if I made him look like me. and it's because it's, I think, the main character being a different race or a different gender means that as you're playing it, you're no longer playing it first person. You're now playing it second person. You're watching this character do stuff, or maybe even third person. I think that might have something to do with it. I'm not certain, but I don't know. Let's go to. Well, actually, I want to shout out Masa. Thank you so much for the love. Same with Padawan's podcast. Check them out as well, and Goldman as well. That's not the one I went to highlight, but yeah. Also, Brian of Pink Milk podcast. Definitely check them out. Hopefully, I can have him on here soon as well. But Nick, what do you think?
I mean, I agree completely about the whole Mary Sue thing. I see that quite often too, and I don't know. It's honestly ridiculous. They either all are or none of them are. Like it can't be both. Either all or none. But I also see, like, specifically with the sequels, I see a lot of people criticizing things in the sequels that they don't criticize for in the other 6 movies all the time. Like, essentially anything that happens in The Force Awakens happens in A New Hope. And I understand The Force Awakens is a carbon copy essentially of A New Hope, and it was designed and intended to be that way. But if you have those problems in that one, but you don't have them in the other one, I just don't understand. And they have those problems about Rey, and all of those things apply to Luke. I don't get the difference there. I don't know. I've just never understood it. Yeah. It's tiring, honestly.
How does she know how to fly? We're not told that.
Oh my God. Not that she blatantly says it twice.
She said it. She told us. I don't know.
Women.
Appreciate your card 2D too. And how about you, Nerd Girl?
Like Nick and Rhonda said, we see often people talking about how she's a Mary Sue and how it comes from either a misunderstanding of her character or just not paying attention to the movie, because half the things I see these people saying that we don't know how she got to know these things, they told us in the movie. And it's weird because if you pay attention, you know it.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing that I always talk about. And also, you guys feel free to jump in. Ron, it sounded like you had something more to say.
I was vehemently agreeing.
Also, I'm here because I want to talk to all of you guys about the topic. So feel free to interrupt me. I will stop talking. I want you guys to talk. All right, that's how it goes. But Meegs, what do you think?
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts. So I think, like everyone's been saying, Rey is overpowered. She never fails at anything. And I think that something that the sequels trilogy does a lot that maybe we don't see as much in the other ones is a lot of show, not tell. We do get some great dialogue proof that Rey, has force abilities, or Rey is a pilot, or Rey has some fighting abilities. But a lot of the times we see a lot of it. And maybe people are going into it like with this bias, like with this purposeful, intentional, like hating a woman character. So then they just dismiss these clues.
Yeah.
And I think people look past these clues in other characters and other movies that they they like refuse to look at these signs, this proof, the dialogue, whatever it is. Like we've been saying, like with Rey being a pilot, for example, we get twice Finn is asking like, we need a pilot, and she's like, I'll be the pilot. And same thing with Han. It's like, where's the pilot? And she's like, I'm the pilot. And for some reason we know the non-Rey fans, they just like refuse to take that. But when we hear it from Anakin or when we hear it from Luke or like whoever it is, it's like, oh well, they said it, so
I'm a pilot, you know, all my life. They're like, you are a child. What the hell?
Yeah. So, and then also, let's see, I like made myself a lot of notes so that I could stick to those and not ramble here. What else? I just feel like people, I don't know, they dismiss a lot of what happens in other films that kind of like backs up what happens. Like all of Snoke's lines to Kylo in The Last Jedi about how Rey defeated Kylo. I feel like people are like, well, they just put that in to like excuse it or like to give extra proof. And I feel like if we're separating those, I think we have to take it all together. You know what I mean?
That's how storytelling works. That's how explaining things works.
Yes. And I think that, like, going back to what you said, Meegs, about like the difference between showing and telling, I think that, and you guys can tell me if you agree with this or not, but I think that the prequels do a lot of telling. They tell us things, whereas in like with the sequels, like there is some telling, but there's also like it's more showing, and you kind of need to pay a little bit more attention to what they're showing you to kind of get, you know, what you're supposed to be getting. And so I think like if you know, someone who's like really, really into the prequels and they think that, and they kind of expect that that's what Star Wars media is going to be like, then with the sequels, it can be a little bit tougher to piece it together if it's not what they're used to. I don't know what you guys, if you would.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like, okay, when we think about Rey as a kid growing up alone as a scavenger, like a young woman by herself, we have to infer then that she's grown up trying to defend herself from anyone trying to take advantage of her. And we see her take on those two thugs who are trying to steal BB-8. Like we see her fight them off. And I feel like we have to make that connection then, that she has some fighting abilities. Like she's grown up, she's learned how to defend herself, she's learned how to keep herself safe. And then like later in The Last Jedi, we see her go through kind of like a training routine. She's really smooth. She's like got a lot of power, a lot of quickness to her movements. And later she picks up the lightsaber and is a little more hesitant, a little more clunky. But like proof that she must have had some sort of like exercise routine, something that like shows this girl, she does know how to fight.
Yeah.
And to build off that too, she has a staff. Why would she have that if she didn't need it? Is it just an accessory? No, we see her use it. And when the beginning of the movie, we see her with a pilot's helmet on. Why does she have that? That's telling the audience through showing us that, oh, she's enamored with flying. It's like there's clues everywhere, not even clues, like they're blatant in your face. People just don't want to see them because they don't want to accept it.
I like the thought that it's like an accessory of like, oh no, this stuff is Gucci. Like,
right? I just like carrying this heavy thing around and never using it.
Yeah.
No, but especially, and that's a point. I was hopefully you can't hear dogs fighting outside of my window. But that's actually a video is going to like make and go into detail on, because when we see Rey training in The Last Jedi, it's pretty clear this is not her first time training. So she trains physically a bunch. And then she picks up a lightsaber and we see exactly how well lightsaber translates. All of this stuff is there for a reason, and it's, I don't know, it's pretty obvious. We got My Diet Element 7 saying, if you gave up on interpreting a painting before the artist was done with it, you will most likely misinterpret the finished product, which is absolutely correct. This was always going to be a trilogy. The story was always going to be told to us in 3 parts. You can't say I don't accept this information because it came from a later part, because that's how storytelling works. I can't say, oh, that was a later chapter of the book, so I don't really count it. I don't know. That's really,
it's called character development.
Yeah.
I hate that argument. I've seen it before too. It's like, well, they did that in the 3rd movie. It's like, okay, they still did it. It was still going to happen. If it happened earlier, it wouldn't make any sense, would it? Like in the very beginning of The Force Awakens, if they tell us everything we need to know about all the characters, why are we watching the movies now? There's no development, there's no growth, there's no arc. What's the point? They have to develop over the course of 3 films.
Also, like, Luke is only a badass in the 3rd film.
Uh-huh.
So if you're not going to count that, like, I don't know. I don't know, man. But okay, awesome. So we kind of address the negativity out there, and hopefully we can move past that and jump into the things that we love. I got to shout out my boy Cal here. I've never understood the logic of people saying they're fixing plot holes when it's like, you knew this was going to be a trilogy. Any unanswered questions will be answered. That's the point.
A plot hole isn't just a piece of missing information. That's not what a plot hole is.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so yeah, let's jump into moving forward. Is there any message that you wish that you could give to these people that are having trouble with understanding the character? And I'll go to Nick first.
I mean, my first question to them would probably be, do you want to understand the character? If you don't care and you don't even want to understand the character, there's nothing I can say or the films can show you that's going to change your mind. But if you're open about wanting to understand the character because you're a fan of the overall product, then talk to people that like it. Talk to people that like the character, figure out why they like the character, and see if that's something that can suit you. And if it's not, that's fine. I mean, everyone doesn't have to like everything. There's plenty of stuff that everybody doesn't like within Star Wars. But if you genuinely want to understand something and you don't think that you do, or you think that you don't like it, talk to someone that does like it. Get their perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Nerd Girl, is there anything that you wish that that you could communicate to all the people that spread the hate?
I like communicating with people who don't like things that I like because it adds perspective to me. But if you're just like me of something that I like comes from misunderstanding, and I try to correct that, and you are just being rude and don't want to learn it, then I don't want to communicate with you anymore.
Yeah. No, that's the answers are out there. Like, yeah, absolutely. How about me? How about you, Meegs?
I think I would say open your hearts to those of us who do love this character or whoever it is. Listen to why we appreciate her. Maybe take a rewatch, keep your eyes open, see all the show not tell, everything like that. And it's okay, like, to not shove your negative opinion unasked down people's throats. You don't have to do that. If someone comes up on their For You page on TikTok and they're like, I love Rey Skywalker, she's my favorite character, you can keep scrolling. You can click not interested. Like, if it's unasked, just focus on what you love. Like, there's no need to go to someone's page to try to tear them down. You can make your own videos talking about your favorite characters. There's no need to put out negativity into the universe, into the galaxy. So focus on what you love.
I love that. And how about you, Rhonda?
Yeah, I would just say, kind of echoing what everyone has already said. I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, yep, everybody's hit the points that that I wrote. But I would also just add that like it's okay if a character isn't for you, but maybe you know, like, and like if you don't like the character, that's okay, but maybe take a step back and think about the people that the character is for and how they feel when there's so much negativity directed toward that character. You know, at the end of the day, I think it's just about how you treat real people.
Yeah.
Whether it's online or in real life. Yeah, just be kind. You don't have to be mean. Just be nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like Star Wars Santa said, don't try to go out of your way to ruin someone's happiness with something. Let them be happy. And I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. Like talking about something that you love is not on the same level as talking about something you hate, right? One adds positivity and energy, the other one takes it away. And so for me, the thing that I would really want to, I think the most important thing has already been said of open your heart, open your mind, specifically because there is a lot of stuff that we just I don't even know the best way to explain it. It's almost like being right-handed versus being left-handed. If something is made for someone who's left-handed, that's okay. It's okay that it's not made for you. Now, someone who's right-handed, you may have never had to consider this thing's existence. You may never have, your friends may have said, hey, let's go play softball. And you're like, I don't have a mitt, but I'm sure someone will have an extra one. If you're left-handed, you can't do that, right? You know, you could walk into Guitar Center, pick up any guitar you want. A left-handed person can't do that. It's a whole different world. So if one thing for once was made for a left-handed person and you pick it up, can you at least say, well, I'm happy you guys have this, even if it feels uncomfortable for me?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I come with it. Hopefully it's not too preachy, but all right, moving on. What is so special about Rey? What makes this character, you know, unique? What did you enjoy about her story? What did you identify with? We're kind of talking overall. We'll kind of break into each individual movie after this, but like as a whole, what kind of popped out to you? And I'll go to Nerd Girl first.
I've made it no secret. What popped out to me about her story is I identify with her because of how her story ends and how she finds her family in other people. And if you look at it from a just like overline view, her story does very much resemble that of a teenage or older adoptee story who may or may not want to go back to their biological family, but then learn that not everything is about blood and who you are biologically related to.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why it hurts me so much whenever people try to say she's not a Skywalker or something like that, because there are plenty of people who do get adopted and accepted into a new family, and they don't share blood, but that is your family, and like I don't know, it just makes me want to bitch slap them, you know. How about you, Meegs?
Oh, I have like a million answers for this. I feel like what's special about Rey is her compassion for so many people and beings. Like she keeps a plant on Jakku. Like she's giving precious resources, water, to cultivate life and beauty and joy in something else. She's caring. And then BB-8, of course, like she has no idea what's happening, but she immediately races out to go figure out what's happening with this droid. Same with Dio. She's like fixes his little squeaky wheel when he freaked out. She's like, it's okay, you're safe with us. Like she just has this compassionate heart for so many beings of the galaxy. I love her friendship with Finn. I think that's incredibly special. Like the moment when she meets up with them on Starkiller Base and she's just like blown away by the fact that they came back for her. Like that's probably such a significant moment to her. Someone cared so much. This friendship that she's now developed, they came back for her. It's just so beautiful. What else? I don't know. I love how emotionally driven her story is, and like we see a lot of emotional conflict with Rey. I think that's really different from other movies. We might see conflict in like a physical way, like losing a hand or killing sand people. And with Rey, we see a lot of more like introspective and psychological and emotional, you know, her identity. Who is she? Figuring out where she belongs. And I think that's really gorgeous and, I don't know, relatable for so many people. I guess just her theme of belonging and family and identity and overcoming the trauma of her abandonment. I think that's just like, I don't know, so wonderful. And yeah, I think personally I relate to that, like the mental health relation I can make with that. Like I may struggle with anxiety, but that doesn't have to define me. I get to choose my worth and my value. She got to choose like her identity, her value. She overcame, you know, her past and got to like feel like she belonged. And I love it.
That's awesome and beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Well, shout out Xanatos. Thank you so much. Whacking Toxic fans up on their heads. I try to slap them with information, mostly, but sometimes you'll see me get real spicy. So, yeah, no, it happens from time to time. Also, you saying that just the way she cares for Beings of the Galaxy reminds me that Beings of the Galaxy is another awesome podcast to check out. Bodiko Wookie, who is in the chat, it says hers, and it's like Beings of New York, People of New York, but in the Star Wars universe. Hopefully, I will be a voice in there soon. But yeah,
that's such a cool idea for a podcast. I love that.
Yeah, y'all need to check that out. Rhonda, same question to you. What makes her special?
Yeah, I think what's really special to me about Rey, like especially within the context of Star Wars, is that she is. I appreciate like her femininity. Like she, like of course she, you know, like is good at fighting, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's not feminine. Like she shows very traditionally, you know, feminine qualities like compassion and empathy and nurturing, like Meegs was saying. And she also like she has this longing to connect emotionally with other people, other beings. And I think that, you know, in Star Wars, we have a lot of like masculine women, which, you know, that's great. And I know a lot of women do connect with that, but not all of us do. Or we have women who like, we're just there to sort of be a side character or a love interest. So to have like a feminine woman who can also handle herself in a fight, and she's the protagonist of the main saga, I just think is so special. And I wish that had happened, you know, 20 years ago when I was a little girl, because I would have been a menace to society if I'd had Rey when I was 5 years old.
Me too.
Awesome. No, I love it because that is something that's important as well, because for a lot of us growing up, and that's kind of the reasons why there are so many hot takes or we hold this so dear, because like you said, this is the modern mythology, being that this is where the stories that young people take in to help identify good and evil and learn their place in this greater world. And a great part of that is just the representation. And if everything you've ever seen, you've never seen yourself as the person taking the lead, or even if they do look like you, they are behaving like someone else. that affects you. That affects everyone. And so I love that Rey's feminine qualities were always there. They were always present, but they were never shown as a weakness, and they were never.
It was never something that she had to like overcome. It was like always her strength. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not like, oh, in order to overcome it, I have to be like a man. You know, and that's, I feel like that happens a lot in media. You know, so I really enjoy that.
Also, can we talk about the lack of male gaze in her outfit?
Yes.
Just like, okay, so I'm getting into cosplay, and Rey is like definitely next on my list because I feel like I will feel so comfortable and so just like beautiful wearing any of her outfits. Like, yeah, we don't get the beautiful dresses like Padme, but we also don't get the like artfully ripped, strategically ripped like outfit. You know, she's not in a gold slave bikini. Like, I love it. It makes me so happy to see her outfits.
I mean, there's no underwear in space. That's what I heard.
But there's bikinis apparently.
Someone actually, those words came out. Okay, Jesus Christ.
George, we love you for Star Wars, but also that was not necessary, sir.
I will say most of Padme's outfits were designed by other women. However, the corset one and the fireplace scene was designed by George Lucas himself.
Wow, I did not know that. That just changed my entire outlook on life. Just kidding.
Also, I'm just gonna throw this out there because I don't know. I just am. Any of the donations or whatever that come in tonight will also go towards Meegs Ahsoka cosplay. So if anyone else is about on the fence, anything that comes out tonight will go.
Hold on, I'm just gonna donate right now. Hold
on. Guys.
I just want to make it as easy as possible for them. You know what I mean? But
thank you. That's totally unnecessary, but thank you. I appreciate it.
No, that's nothing. Your thoughts on it, Nick?
Well, first, I just want to say about the outfits. Rey's outfit in Rise of Skywalker is my single favorite outfit any character in Star Wars wears. I love how her outfit evolves throughout the 3 movies, and it's very pristine and bright in the 3rd movie because that's what Rey's personality is. That's what she chooses above everything else. She always looks to the good. She always wants to help. She's always empathetic and compassionate. I love that about her. And I love that her journey is one of self-discovery and of self-choice, right? She discovers who she is. She finds out what her lineage is, but she gets to decide what she wants it to be, right? It doesn't matter what anyone else tells her, what anyone else wants her to be. She's going to be what she feels she needs to be inside. And I would think that's something that would resonate with a lot of people. And that's something that really resonated with me. I love that about her journey.
Awesome. No, I love it. Also just gotta say shout out to Amber, who gets for Meegs, Malik as well. You guys are awesome. Definitely appreciate you. And how about you, Nurko?
The outfits thing is so true because I got into superheroes really bad this year thanks to Marvel, and I started watching DC content, and some of those costumes are atrocious. Like, you want to cosplay this character so bad, but you aren't comfortable in their costume. And one of my favorite characters is Ahsoka, and I've wanted to cosplay her for a long time, but up until season 7, I didn't have any of the costumes that I would be comfortable cosplaying. So having practical and just not as revealing costumes for these girls and women in Star Wars is so important because it allows us to be comfortable when we're cosplaying.
You mean putting a 14-year-old in a tube top and saying, you're off to war? Good luck. You're saying that's not cool? So we got some more love for Meegs.
Thank you.
There we got Xanatos as well. I really like Ahsoka's Mando outfit. I gotta say, her outfit, season 7 Clone Wars, like the jumper thing. I think that was just adorable. I don't know. That's like up there for me. But awesome. Okay, so let's jump into the actual movies themselves. We got The Force Awakens. Um, let's talk about her journey. This one struck me because she's this uh, scavenger who finds these lost, broken, and discarded pieces, puts them together, fixes them, cleans them up. She sees the value in them, but she herself is this lost, discarded person, and she doesn't see that value in herself. And like that always just hit me, like especially the scene where she's like cleaning off the part and she looks and there's the old woman doing it too, and that's like, if you don't leave, that's you. Like if you don't. And when she gets offered all of the portions, and there's that look in her eyes of like, oh, I can stay here and wait for my family forever with this. Just that moment really struck me in The Force Awakens. That's one of the things I really enjoyed. But we'll go to Nick first. What did you think about her journey? What would you change, if anything? And the journey itself.
Her journey in The Force Awakens, I liked how mysterious it was to begin with. I mean, that's a major J.J. Abrams thing. He loves making mystery boxes and then not answering them later. He did that for an entire season of a show in Lost. But anyways, in The Force Awakens, I like that. Yeah, I like that Rey's really mysterious. And in the very beginning, we only get a really little bit of information about her, and it's all shown to us, right? We see that she's a scavenger when she's in the ship. We see that she has the pilot's helmet, and then we see her fighting. And then she tells like the audience verbatim that she's a pilot. But I like that the film shows so many different things just in the first 5 minutes of her screen time. We already know so much about her. I mean, if you're paying attention. And God, I just totally lost my train of thought.
Well, while you're thinking of it, I just want to shout out Brian of Pink Milk Podcast. Lesbian jumpsuit is the best. Agreed. Malik says Rey's Last Jedi outfit is my favorite. I love the dark colors, and I love that she goes from this like dirty white to this gray color, which is similar to Luke's journey, but Luke went to black, so we didn't know. She goes to brilliant white. I don't know, I just think that's a cool detail. But have you picked up your thought process? Thought trail?
No, it's gone. It is gone.
All right. Well, if it comes back to you, feel free to jump in. Like I said, we want to be conversational here, and we love your guys' thoughts. How about you, Nerd Girl? Her in The Force Awakens. What jumped out at you?
Rey's story in The Force Awakens, one of the very first things you notice about it is that she's stuck in the past. She doesn't want to leave Jakku. She wants to stay on Jakku to wait for her family. And she has to get over that to be able to go on this journey. And that's one of the things that I don't get when people say she's just a carbon copy of Luke in The Force Awakens is Luke wants adventure. Rey doesn't.
Yeah, they have exact opposite starting points. And I feel like The Force Awakens was similar to A New Hope, specifically to show the difference between the characters. You have Rey obviously being the stand-in for Luke, and Luke he has family, he wants to go off and have adventures, and his family's this anchor holding him back, like, oh, I gotta stay back another season, I wanted to join the academy, and then we have Finn, who's the opposite of Leia, who is like, Leia's all in on the cause, no matter what, this is the side we're gonna win, and Finn doesn't feel that. Finn is, I need to get out of this. This is terrible. Then we have Poe, who is the opposite of Han Solo. And Han Solo it's kind of like DJ, who's like, don't join any causes because, I would like he reluctantly joined the cause, whereas Poe was so willing to die for the cause that was his downfall. All these characters are the polar opposites, and I thought the similar storytelling was meant in order to showcase that. Not say they're the same people, but of course, if you're not paying attention, you probably won't see any of that. How about you, Meegs? Force Awakens.
I feel like it's such a fun movie. We get so many like classic lines, like the whole when Finn and Rey are running with BB-8 and she says, "I know how to run without you holding my hand." Like, I just remember laughing so hard the first time in the theaters hearing that, like, oh yes, thank you. And let's see. I feel like something that I want to point out is I think there's a lot of things about how the Force and Rey's like the relationship with the Force grows throughout the movie. Like we get Snoke saying to Kylo, like, there has been an awakening. Have you felt it? And this is like Rey's not even with them yet. And then, you know, like not in this movie, but we hear Rey say to Luke, like, something inside me has always been there, but now it's awake. So like knowing that and like seeing when the dyad like is being formed, just how Rey, she's so stubborn, determined, resilient. She pushes back against Kylo, and then she tries. She's a survivor. She's gonna escape. And like when she is fighting Kylo, I think something that people miss on Starkiller Base in the snow, like she is angry. She is a little bit, out of control. Like she's scared. She wants to protect Finn, her friend who came back for her. And Kylo, I think what we miss, what some people miss is like all of the ways that Kylo is not at his best. So it's not that Rey is overpowered. It's more like she's angry. She's scared. She's got to protect her friend. And he just killed his father. He's like emotionally a hot mess. He's physically not doing okay because he got blasted in the side by Chewie's bowcaster, which we've seen multiple times in that film, like knock people across the walls. So he got like gashed by that. He's punching himself. He's bleeding. We see he's not in top form physically, mentally. He's a mess. And then he says to her, like, you need a teacher. He's not trying to kill her. He's trying to recruit her. He's not trying to destroy her. So when people are like, she's so overpowered, she defeated this like great, Sith wannabe guy. Like it wasn't that exactly. Like watch the movie, please.
Legitimately, if I took a shotgun and I shot Floyd Mayweather in the stomach, I could whoop his ass. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't mean I'm a better boxer. It doesn't. It means you shouldn't shoot people in the stomach or whatever. But
I hate when. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you keep going.
I hate when people say that she won that fight or that she like overpowered and dominated Kylo. She didn't win. She survived because he didn't want to kill her. If Kylo's mission would have been to kill Rey right then, she would be dead. There would be no second and third movie. He would have killed her very quickly, even with how injured he was. Just like he did Finn. He toyed with Finn the whole time, and the one shot Finn got in, he immediately dispatched him. He was like, all right, I'm done with you now. You're getting on my nerves, and you're on the ground. He'd done the same thing to Rey, but he wasn't trying to kill her. People just want to ignore that.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we actually did have a very similar question in the chat. Why does the sequel show Rey as overpowered? And she beats Kylo, and he had years of training, and she also beats Palpatine, even though Windu, with years of training, almost dead. Why is that?
I mean, she didn't beat Palp by herself. She had literally all the Jedi on her side. That's kind of powerful.
And also, she died. I don't know,
and again, she only survived once again.
And it was actually Palpatine's own power that killed him, which is something that is akin to the Sith. That's one of the reasons it's not the path to go down. But of course, like you guys were saying, and I feel like we've covered this very well throughout, where we are shown that she knows how to fight. In The Force Awakens, we see her training, and then we see her switch to a lightsaber, so we know exactly how well that translates. But again, that is not enough. Kylo Ren, even though he is severely wounded, he's bleeding out in the snow. And he is broken and off balance after killing his father. We're directly told this. It's in the novelization, but we're directly told this in the follow-up movie. He is not at 100%, and he still bests her in lightsaber skill, holds her up to a cliff where he could push her off easily, and says, "You need a teacher. I can show you the ways of the Force." And of course, him taking this time to talk to her. This is such a common trope where the villain has the hero dead to rights, and they stop and talk, and the hero uses this moment, this brief second, in order to get the upper hand. It's in so many things that it's like it's a terrible trope because we see it so often. And so I just find it shocking that it comes up ever, because we're shown all of this stuff.
It is a terrible trope, but it also always gives us that moment for the hero to overcome something. It's like, I understand why the trope is used, but yeah.
And I think that it, like, to The Force Awakens credit, like, I think that it uses the trope very effectively. Like, it makes sense for that situation, because, like we've been saying, like, Kylo is not trying to kill Rey, whereas, you know, like in a movie where the villain is trying to kill the hero, it would not make sense for them to stop and give them an opening. But in this case, it does make sense. So I think I didn't even notice that trope was used the first time that I watched it, because it was so, you know, incorporated.
Yeah, it was baked in. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's like baked rigatoni. Like, it's all one piece, and you're like, yeah, I know. Anyways,
like a really good mac and cheese when it's just like the brick.
Yeah, you can't separate all the cheeses. They're all there, and they all make a difference. I know. I think very visually, and that's the kind of stuff that my mind does. What are your thoughts? You have further thoughts, Rhonda?
On The Force Awakens, I just think, like, kind of overall, I like with Rey specifically, I just really enjoyed. I enjoyed her introduction. I love that that, like, when we first see her, like, we can't see her face for a good, 30 seconds at least to a minute of the movie, and then she pops out, and I think in that introduction, that's the first time that we see her, like, slide down the dune of sand, and, like, maybe that was the most practical way for her to get down the hill, but it also just, like, makes her seem very, like, playful and like, open. So I think it's just a great character introduction.
Yes,
and
we get her theme there, and it's like,
yes,
the soft,
yes,
theme.
her theme
like,
is my
so
favorite. Yeah.
And how her theme plays with Palpatine's theme, and like, there's always some deep stuff. Oh, in the novelization, when she does have Kylo Ren dead to rights, Mark Thompson reads the novelization, and you hear it's written in Palpatine's voice of "kill him," and you're like, "What? Wait, what? What is this?" And then it just like, "Oh, never mind." Did that just happen or whatever? I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff. I always recommend doing novelizations as well, but it's not required. It is not required to understand the story. But if you are someone that likes the finer details, it is there. Any closing thoughts on TFA? Things we missed?
Is that for anyone?
I want to add something to the Rey beating Kylo in the last fight. Like Nick said, she didn't really beat him. She survived the fight, but when she lands those hits, it's a callback to A New Hope when Obi-Wan tells Luke that the Force will guide him, and Rey's told the same thing earlier in the film. She lets the Force guide her, and that's why she was able to land those hits.
Yeah, absolutely. And that scene can actually be watched side by side. Like, that is the epitome of Luke's Death Star trench run. If you think about it, like, Luke is a pilot, but he's not a fighter pilot. He's never flown an X-Wing before, and he's now doing it against the most skilled pilots in the galaxy and against Anakin Skywalker, one of the most powerful Force users ever in a ship. But because of the lesson he was told earlier, he was able to use the Force. Now, a big key part is that Red Leader tried to make the shot first and couldn't. He tried to make it using his tools, and he couldn't do it. It was only the Force that gave Luke the edge, and only his belief and trust in it that let him complete this. For Rey, it was the same thing. You know, just like Luke was a competent pilot before, Rey was a competent fighter before. She knew how to fight. Yeah, she was given a lightsaber instead of a staff, but that's like Luke being given an X-wing for the first time rather than a staff, or rather than a T-16. Sorry,
like swing an X-wing around.
I mean, Hulk status. But and then Red Leader trying to make the shot and being unable to. It's the same thing as Finn fighting Kylo Ren first. It's the same exact thing. It's the equivalent of that, where the lesson takes root. Close your eyes, feel the Force. It's always been there, and she does. Of course, he's super weak already, and he's not expecting it. So, like, it's almost a cheap win, but still, it still counts. It still counts. We take those. I play some competitive versus video game. I don't care if you SD. Like, we take those, bro. But yeah, let's talk about the Last Jedi. Her journey.
Oh, wait. Can I say the things that would change?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay, because when I saw this on the outline, I was like, oh my God, I don't know. So then I turned to some friends and I got a lot of really cool answers that I was like, oh my gosh, I totally would love that. So first, I would want some Rose and Paige, from the beginning, how we got Finn kind of at the beginning. Somehow, if we could get some development of their sisterly bond, who they are, why they joined the Resistance, things like that, that's set up for later. I would have loved that. What else? I had a friend say, Holly Deanne, I think on TikTok is her username, for the whole Rey-Lo relationship, to have the enemies to lovers be a little more obvious for those people who don't know the trope as well, who just can't see that, for it to be a little more obvious. I'm not quite sure what that would involve, but I agreed with that. I was
how do you get more obvious?
I don't know how. He looks at her lovingly when she calls the lightsaber. The look on his face, he's clearly falling in love with her. I don't know how to make it more clear.
I don't know how to make it more clear without it getting crass. So.
Oh God. Okay, and then one more thing, or two more things. One was more Finpo, even more. Make it canon.
Yes.
And then that was from Shayla Wren.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
And then from my friend Jolie, Cinema Seamstress on TikTok, she said it would be so cool to get more hints at Ben Solo's backstory, his growing up. And I was like, ooh, that would have been so cool to add. So those are a lot of changes, but I would have loved to see them.
Awesome.
We need more movies. we need prequels to the sequels is what we need.
And I don't know if this is the same Holly, but yeah, some people need it spelled out. I had Holly on for the Obi-Wan.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
Go for it. And all right, so let's jump into The Last Jedi. Kind of the same question for you guys. I don't recall who I started with, so I will go to Rhonda first.
Well, I have thoughts about The Last Jedi. So, man, there's so many thoughts. I think just with her journey overall, I think that The Last Jedi really kind of solidified that Rey's journey is a heroine's journey and not a hero's journey. I mean, it's kind of both, but I think it's more focused on the heroine's journey, and that her journey is very much intrinsic and emotional and psychological. There's like so much of her arc in The Last Jedi is about coming to terms with who she is and accepting that, you know, she kind of has to own her own journey. She can't like rely on the past. She can't rely on her parents or on Han or Luke or, you know, anyone else. Like she kind of has to accept that this is her journey and take charge of that. And then she does at the very end when she, you know, saves all of her friends. So yeah, that's just my general big picture thoughts about The Last Jedi. Yeah, I could talk for hours.
It is my favorite Star Wars film. So I feel you. Nick, what jumps out at you on it?
Well, the main thing, like the biggest thing I like about Rey's journey in The Last Jedi is that despite everything she's going on with internally and what she's dealing with, her first instinct still, the entire movie, is to try to save Ben. That's what she's trying to do. She's not trying to go and stop him and kill Snoke. She wants to bring him back to the light. And she knows that she may die doing it. In fact, she probably expects to die going there to try to do it. And then she's heartbroken when he essentially betrays her, even though she probably still expected it because she still wanted to see the good in him, right? And she's dealing with so much the whole movie, trying to figure out who she is and if her parents are ever going to come back for her and who they were. And still it doesn't matter because above all, she's putting others above herself. I just love that. And also I wanted to say that this is probably controversial for people that love the sequel trilogy, but I would have removed Reylo entirely from the saga.
Interesting.
I didn't like that aspect at all. I felt like, I don't know, I didn't like cheapen anything or whatever, but I just felt like the bond would have been stronger if it wasn't about them being in love and it was still about Rey wanting to save someone because that's just who she is.
Question: as a dude, be honest. You have this connection with a woman, and it looks like Daisy Ridley. Are you in love with her?
Wait, what?
If you had that connection, like the same connection that they had, and the woman that you have this connection with is Daisy Ridley, are you in love with her? Have
you heard her accent? Yes, 100%.
Okay.
She could have been the bad one, and I would have still been in love with her.
She puts on mascara, and she gets in a Sleeping Beauty coffin, and ships herself to her prince. Basically, I don't see how you can miss this.
No, but I do get what you're saying, because I'm indifferent to Reylo. I mean, I saw it happening. I saw the thigh grab, and I was like, "Ooh, spicy." I was like, "Let me add a bit of spice." But
because apparently so many people missed it. It wasn't enough spice, apparently.
No, I understand though, because because there is truly a thing where like you can have platonic friendships. Please, let's normalize that at some point. So, and I guess we kind of got that with Rey and Finn, but I don't know.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying that I hated Reylo. I like the way they executed it. It ended up working out to where I was like, oh yeah, that was cool, that was fun. But I just personally, if I would have written them, I would have never put it in there. And also, like what you're saying, I love that Rey and Finn's dynamic is always just this really, really strong friendship where they both really care for the other person and will pretty much do anything for them. I love that aspect.
Yeah. And then one final thing, and again, none of this is at your expense. I hope you know that. There's only love here. I have to ask though, are you a Silky?
Are you talking to me?
Yes. Where do you stand on Silky?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, you didn't watch the Loki show?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm all for someone loving themselves. That's cool.
Okay. I was just working on this theory that Reylo's and Silky's is a circle. It's like it's a Venn diagram that's almost a circle.
I like what they did in the show. That narratively, it made sense. Like the first person that Loki could truly love would be himself. Like, yeah, I get it. Sylvie was a great character. Like, I don't see a problem with how they did it. It doesn't really. I thought it was fun.
Awesome. No, I love it. Appreciate it. How about you, Nerd Girl? The Last Jedi.
I don't really have much to say on this film. The last time I rewatched it was last year, so I rewatched a recap of it and started it at the beginning when I heard about this, but wasn't able to finish it again. Sorry. So I don't really want to talk much about this because I haven't rewatched it.
Hey, that is perfectly valid. Now, we do have some Levi says, no, friendship isn't allowed. Levi's an awesome guy. He's saying it sarcastically. Almost Seven says, I love how Filoni describing them as soulmates in the Force. So that is definitely a way to look at it. And we have Stardust M, who I also desperately want to get on this panel at some point in time. I'm very pro platonic Rey and Kylo Ben connection. And then we have Brooke. I don't think their romance took away from either. So there's a lot on both sides.
I'm honestly surprised by that.
Oh, I mean, listen, all viewpoints are welcome here. Just don't be a dick. That's that's the rule. How about you, Meegs? The Last Jedi.
Okay, so something that we haven't talked about yet is the Luke and Rey dynamic in this movie, which I think is so, like, a lot of people don't like this Luke, but I did. And I really liked Rey coming in, of course, with her compassion, with her hope. She, like, tells him, you know, when he says, you think I came to, like, the most unfindable place in the galaxy for no reason? She's like, I'm not leaving without you. Like, she's so persistent. She's so hopeful. I don't know. And I loved how Luke kept poking at her when she was like, you know, oh, I'm here because, you know, Leia sent me. The Resistance needs you. And he's like, no, but why are you here? Like, he knew. And then, let's see. Well, I suppose that's into the Rise of Skywalker. But just he knew who she was from the beginning, and he's still, you know, decided to train her, to teach her his 3 important lessons, to have those conversations, to, you know, tell her his story. And I really liked, so there's a podcast, Star Wars English class, and they did an episode called A Certain Point of View, I believe it was. And just they focused on how we see, or we get a couple different versions of what happened. We get Han telling in Force Awakens, like, what happened to Luke, you know, oh, a student, which, like, he didn't even say it was his son. And Luke, we get it from Ben, and I believe we get it from Luke one more time, right?
Yeah.
And so
the full version, yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like that interspersed with their, like, FaceTime, Force time, like, bond, video chatting throughout the galaxy. It was just so fun and, like, just such a cool Star Wars thing to get. And I don't know, what else do I want to say about this? Anyone have any comments?
No, I'm so glad that you brought up Luke and Rey's relationship, because that was one of my favorite things about The Last Jedi too. Because I think that Rey and Luke are, like, besides that Rey is sort of the Luke analog in the sequel trilogy, I think the characters Luke and Rey are actually very similar. And I think that Luke sees a lot of himself.
Oh, you kind of cut out, started breaking up.
She's so, like, we need to go. Let's go save the Resistance. And, like, that's how Luke was in the original trilogy. And so I think that he sees that in her. And I think that he's, like, he's already gone through, you know, like, this failure and this heartbreak with Ben, and he doesn't want to go through the same thing with Rey. And so that's why he kind of shuts her out at first. And yeah, it's a beautiful journey for both of them. And I really appreciate Grumpy Luke. I think he's great.
I really liked the Rey and Luke thing because it showed Rey's determination the whole time. She's being told no, like, at every turn. It doesn't matter. She's not leaving until he helps her and until she can help him. And also, I wanted to say about the whole different perspectives we get of what happened with Rey and Luke. That was like a huge ode to the movie Rashomon from the director Akira Kurosawa, who was like a huge influence to Rian Johnson. It's like when I saw the Last Jedi for the first time and they started doing that, I was not surprised that he did that in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, this guy talks about him all the time. No wonder he did this.
No, exactly. I loved it too because specifically how it informed the next movie as well. I mean, there's a few. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a few amazing things. Sometimes I hear the thought of like, oh, but the whole purpose of the Last Jedi was to show her that she doesn't need family, and you're like, no. That's I understand why you took that, but it's wrong. Maz tells her the belonging you seek is ahead of you, not behind you. In this film, she gets the confirmation that it is not behind her. Awesome shirt. But that's only half of it. We find out the next half in the next movie. So I really love that part. Their relationship to me was great. Luke trying to like scare her off by like drinking weird milk and just looking at her just like, yeah, this is life. Like, you want this? This is what you want? Like, really? But it makes me think of a thing that happens in the comics. There's a comic that is Rey's journey from the Resistance base over to Octo, and as she's leaving, Poe leans over to Leia and says, "Man, she's our last. This is Luke is our last hope." And then Leia looks back and is like, "No, there's another." Like, Leia knew. And that moment is just like beautiful. I don't know. It just makes me so happy. But yeah, this entire movie, I mean, like I said, her journey is her trying to find her identity. And so she goes there and she's expecting other people to tell her what her place is and all this. She specifically asked Luke, I need someone to tell me my place in all this. So this, I'm not making that up. But she's like, we need... I need a hero. No, we need a hero to take care of this. Is it going to be you? Looks like no. And she's like, fine, then it's going to be Ben. And by the end of the movie, she realizes sometimes it's you. You have to step up and you have to be the hero. And I don't know, that's just one of the things that I really love. There's many things that I love, but she even went to locate her parents, find out who they were, to see if they could tell her her place in all this. And she finds herself. Only you can tell you what your future is, where you need to go. So there's so much beauty in it.
Yes. I also love that. I love that scene, the mirror cave scene. Like, I think it's such a perfect echo of the scene in Empire when Luke has the vision of Darth Vader and he cuts his head off and then he sees his own face in Darth Vader's helmet. Like, I think it's just such a perfect echo of that scene, but like, it's not a copy of that scene. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's what it's like Rey's own version of that scene in a way.
I mean, what Luke wants more than anything is to be just like his father, and then like that tells him, yeah, that's what it means. And what Rey wants is like, I want my family to show me my place, and that's just her. Mm-hmm. And it's the same lesson, but told in the way that the seeker needs to hear it. Stardust M says Rey fears being alone and not having anyone but herself to rely on. The whole trilogy shows her that she's never alone. Now I just want to start singing. You are not alone. Okay. I've lost myself into music. So let's move on into Rise of Skywalker, which, as we get started, my little bridge between the two is you know, she comes to Octo expecting the legend of Luke, and she finds the man. And he explained to her, behind every legend is a real person. Behind the mythic Jedi of the past were real people who were fallible, were the architects of their own destruction. I did that too. Like, don't deify me or them because we're all just people. And I kind of love how that lesson echoes forward into, you know, Rey saves everyone at the end of The Last Jedi, and she's becoming their new legend, their new hero. And during that movie, it's kind of her fighting with that. Everyone, Poe is like, "You're our best fighter. We need you out there fighting." And she's like, "I don't feel like I'm ready to do all of this stuff. You know, people keep telling me they know me. They don't." Because even though they're seeing her as this legend, she's still Rey. She's still the same person from Jakku, trying to find her place. I don't know. I just love it. Masega says, on my wedding cake, it said, "You're not alone. Neither are you."
I love it.
Miss Eggy is the greatest. Is the greatest Reylo ever. She is an icon for sure. Yeah, Nick, your thoughts as we go into Rise of Skywalker?
Well, to expand upon what you were saying, in the Rise of Skywalker, I cut out.
No, we still hear you.
Yeah, to expand on what you were saying, in the Rise of Skywalker, the whole movie is her pretty much dealing with, or trying to come to terms with, everybody wants her to be this hero, this legendary figure like Luke was. She's the new Jedi that's going to save everybody and save the Resistance. But she's also trying to come to terms with herself and who she is. Because the last thing she was told was that her parents were nobody. She's nobody in the story. So now she's got to forge her own path and make her own way. And I love the duality of her having to deal with both of those things at the same time throughout the movie. And even with her having to deal with those, she still chooses to help them because she wants to bring hope. Like Luke did at the end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Even though he was a man, still showed how he can be a hero. I know,
he became the legend again from being just a person.
It's beautiful. And how about you, Nerd Girl?
When Rey finds out that Palpatine is her grandfather, she tries to go into hiding, believing that she isn't that hope that the galaxy needs. And it's when Luke appears to her and tells her that some things are stronger than blood, it's to help push her towards being who she needs to be, because she can't get there on her own in that moment. And it's just looking towards a future that she can't see, because she can't get over where she comes from and who she is. So to me, she's still coming from a place of being a nobody, but when she finds out that one of her relatives was a somebody and that somebody was evil, it pushes her back and prevents her from following where she needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. And your thoughts, Meegs?
I have a lot of thoughts. I'll try to just hit some highlights.
No, hit us with the fire hose. Go for it.
Well, let's see. I really loved, the Rey and Leia moments. Like, I just thought they were really beautiful with what they could do. Training and calling Leia her master. I don't know. There's that moment before she leaves to go with, Poe and Finn and BB-8 and Chewie and C-3PO. Like, she says, what does she say? "There's so much I want to tell you." And Leia says, "Tell me when you get back." And she hands her the lightsaber and says, they hug. And as Rey is crying, she's saying, like, "Rey, never be afraid of who you are." And I feel like that really echoes later when Luke says, like, "Yeah, we knew who you were. We still loved you. We still accepted you. We still trained you." That was just so beautiful. What else? I really loved the Poe, Finn, and Rey interactions. Like, the whole, the Falcon's on fire. BB-8's not on fire. Like, that whole dynamic was so...
You know what you are? You're difficult.
You're difficult. Yes. What else? Oh, and then Finn is like, Rey's like, I need to go alone. And he's like, yeah, alone with friends. Like, I just love that dynamic. Like, it's so beautiful. What else? Oh, when Rey was at the festival, I just feel like, they have this ticking time bomb of you have 16 hours to like find the Wayfinder and go and stop Palpatine in Exegol. But like, she's smiling. She's like, I've never seen anything like this. Like, it's just so good to see like happy Rey. We deserve that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it reminds me of when she's like, I never saw this much green in the entire galaxy.
Yes,
Like, there's little moments like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Omega moment in Bad Batch, but it also reminds me, I feel like people always compared this with Rapunzel, like when she steps out of her tower and she like touches the ground and she's like, best day ever. Like those moments, it's just movie magic.
Yeah, awesome. I love it.
I'm trying to, what else? Quick, before I, babble for hours and hours. Oh, I really like another Rey relationship here is with Chewie. Like when she thinks that she has destroyed the transport with him on it, like her devastated, shrill Chewie like scream. It reminded me of the Hunger Games, like that, just that desperation and like fear and pain in her voice. And just like being scared of her own like power. I don't know. That was also well done. And then how Finn was like so supportive, and I love that relationship between them. We see like she's like, you don't know what's going on, and he's like, so tell me. And she opens up, she trusts him. Like, I don't know, their friendship is just so so great. It's awesome to see. He's so sincere and sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you notating that the moment of Chewbacca is very also evident in what happens with her accessing the lightning power for the first time, because in Star Wars canonically, that's how every person accesses it for the very first time. It's a moment of crazy amounts of stress while they're exerting themselves, and it usually is pretty destructive. It's almost like the old wives' tale of a baby rattlesnake can't control their venom, they just go all out. That's actually not true, but it does apply here. And for someone who never had anyone, and in her love for Chewie and having Chewie being taken away from her and that connection, that's where that came from. And I just thought that was so great, especially because in this film we're playing off of, she's having visions of her sitting on this dark throne as this dark empress, and she's terrified of what she could possibly become, but always in motion the future is. And I kind of love that visions of the future have been everyone's bane throughout the Star Wars universe. Everyone, even Legends. That's what got Jason Solo. There's so much good stuff, and it's like poetry. It always rhymes. Rhonda, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I still have a really hard time with Rise of Skywalker. So I'll try to just stick to the positives. I really enjoy Dark Rey. That vision of what Rey would have become, or like what she could become if she kind of gives in to her dark side urges. And I think it's very compelling. And I wish that we had seen a little bit more of that. Like, I wish that we had gotten to see like what her vision actually was of, her on the Sith throne. I just find that really interesting. I also like the line, I did want to take your hand, Ben's hand. And just that, like, it's such a simple, a simple sentiment, but it just, like, that, I think that line is kind of the catalyst for Ben finally deciding, okay, I need to be Ben again. and also just showing like that Rey has this sense of clarity about who Ben really is, and seeing him apart from Kylo Ren, and seeing that they're, you know, she sees who he really is. So I think that part's really powerful.
Ooh, can I pop in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when I was just recently on the Millennium Pod podcast, and something that Ari said was the beauty of Kylo Ren being killed with Kylo Ren's lightsaber, and then like Ben Solo emerges from that sort of a thing. I butchered that. Her explanation is a lot prettier, so it'll be on her podcast. But that's something that I had never thought of, and I was like, wait, that's really cool, because then he talks with his father and goes in his little sweater and joins up with Rey.
I also love that when she heals him, she also heals the scar on his face, which is a scar that she gave him. And that's actually in the heroine's journey. There's a concept in the heroine's journey called the healing of the wounded masculine. And if you see Rey and Ben as kind of the feminine and masculine in the dyad, she's like literally healing the wounded masculine within the dyad so that they can become one whole again.
Oh wow! Sorry, I just hit me different. And then what was it? And it is her speaking with the goddess. Is that Leia?
Yeah, I think Leia does sort of serve as a goddess. But I also think that this is where I don't want to like get too negative about Rise of Skywalker, but I think that this is my biggest issue with it, is that it doesn't completely follow through on the heroine's journey. And I think that's where most of my frustration with this movie is. Because that's one aspect that it doesn't really follow up on. But.
Yeah, and it's great if you don't like the film. It's my least favorite. I actively hated it until I actually did an episode here on the High Ground podcast of that episode, and got to see what people enjoyed, and it kind of changed some of my perspectives. But don't feel bad not liking it. I mean, the next question that comes up is what would you change?
Should I answer that? Okay.
Yeah. No.
How long do I have? How long do I have to answer this?
We do like to do this in the vein of the compliment.
Okay. I'll just pick one thing. I'll just pick one thing then. I really think that the final scene, like the final shot where she's standing alone with the twin sunset, I think that my preference would have been that she goes back to her ship. She goes back to the Falcon and rejoins like Finn and Poe and whoever else is on the ship with her. And so we see her with her friends at the end. And then the final shot could be the Falcon flying away with the twin sun. So like narratively, it's the same thing, but just the visual messaging would be very different, because it would give us a sense of like, oh, she has found her family now, because here is the end of her journey and she's with her found family, versus seeing her alone on a desolate planet. I know that's a very like nitpicky thing, but I just would feel a lot better about the movie if we got that as the final shot. But.
Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that. How about you, Nick?
If I could have changed one thing about that movie, it would have been that the fight between her and Palpatine would have been way longer. Way longer. It wouldn't have just been lightning against the lightsaber. Like, they would have done a lot more. I also would not have redeemed Kylo.
What?
Yeah. I wouldn't have brought Pop back at all, and Kylo would have been the villain the whole movie. He would have never redeemed. He would have forcefully and angrily stayed mad and bitter at the world. He would never be able to forgive himself for killing his father, and he would have died a bitter, sad person at the end, never accepting love from someone else. Yes, it's terrible and it's tragic, but that's what I would have made his story.
Hey,
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. It literally changes the complexion of the entire movie and of their dynamic, but I love the way they redeemed him. I did not want it, and when I watched the movie and they started doing it, like, I was angry in the theater. And I love Star Wars, but I was so pissed off that they were doing that. I didn't want it to happen. And then when the movie ended, I was like, damn it, but they did it well. It's like, I can't hate it. Like, I like how it was done, but I personally would not have done it.
I mean, if it were me, this would actually have been 4 movies and not 3.
I mean, if it were me, we'd still be making them with all those characters. Yeah, I mean,
because I did want a lot more of him as the big bad, and I wanted to see that whole year of him being the supreme leader, but everything's falling apart because he's just not good at it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that is like a petulant man-child that's powerful and everyone's afraid of. No one wants to tell him not to do anything.
Exactly. Being bad is not enough. You know what I mean? And it could have been, similar to episode 3 when he's like, oh, well, I can overthrow him and I can rule. And we're like, you're not a, like, Palpatine was a politician and stuff. Like, stay in your lane, man. But yeah. How about you, Nerd Girl?
In a perfect world, and if Carrie Fisher had lived to film all 3 films, I would have had Leia be more present in The Rise of Skywalker and had her and her and Rey interact more and just show their relationship more on screen. I would have loved that.
That would be, yeah. I do feel like that was another big crucial part is we lost Carrie Fisher, and there were certain concessions that they had to make. That was supposed to be her movie to shine. So, yeah. And Meegs, did I start with you? I don't recall who I started with to talk about the Rise of Skywalker.
I think you started with Rhonda.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
I inserted myself.
No, we're having a great time. We're a great conversation.
I think, well, I started by saying like things that I liked, but then I don't know, I think I was like, anybody have comments? So I do want to say, okay, so I just rewatched all the movies recently, and I sobbed at all of the Jedi voices encouraging Rey. Like, I have not cried like that at a movie in such a long time, and I just feel like I wanted to mention that of like, just, I don't know, it was so cool to hear all of these voices that we know and love. And I'm the person who watches everything, every TV show, every YouTube video, every movie with subtitles. So seeing the names and like what they're saying, like, just, it's so powerful and incredible, and I loved it. That being
and the missed opportunity of having Samuel Jackson drop an F-bomb in Star Wars. Just get up, mother. I needed that.
Gosh.
The first ever F-bomb in Star Wars.
Who better to do it, though?
Yeah.
I mean, to go with the Leia thing, though, my God, if she would have been able to be in the movie more, that would have been like the number one thing. That would have been so amazing. I would have loved to see her with Rey a lot more and way more like expansion on Jedi Leia. Because that was my favorite thing that movie did, was canonize Jedi Leia.
Oh, yeah. Because even the expanded universe didn't quite canonize it. Like, she had a lightsaber. She used it in the Dark Fleet. What was the second book of the Thrawn trilogy, the Heir to the Empire trilogy?
I don't remember the name.
But we didn't really fully get to see anything with it. I would have loved more than that. All right, well, quick lightning round for everyone. Starting with Nick. Thoughts on Rey Skywalker at the end of the saga? For it, against it? Basically, her whole family lineage. Did you want her to have no one? Did you want her to be a Palpatine? Are you down with Rey Skywalker? Any thoughts? We'll do a quick lightning round. Nick first.
I'm down with Rey Skywalker. That was also something I didn't particularly want from The Force Awakens. It just seemed like that's exactly what they were setting up for. She's going to be a Skywalker. Then I love that they subverted and made her a nobody. I would have liked her to stay a nobody, but I love the way they made her a Skywalker, and it really resonates with her story to choose to be that. So in the end, I love that she is a Skywalker.
Awesome. And also, Levi Bond always with the save. Dark Force Rising. Yes, that was the one where Leia was on Kashyyyk. And we have X-Wing dropping by. Always appreciate it. Thank you. Well, Meegs, thanks you. How about you, Nerd Girl?
I've made it no secret that I love Rey Skywalker, and I fairly talked about this a lot about how I wanted her to be a Kenobi. But once I saw the movie, and actually I heard about her being a Skywalker before I saw the movie, I cried when I heard about it. And when I finally watched the movie, it made sense to me, and I liked it. And that's really all I have to say about it.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And so I noticed, and you don't have to. You didn't share your personal connection to it. Is that too much? All right. Never mind. We also have Star Wars Lawyer here dropping. We needed Lando talking to Ben. Imagine Ben goes to Lando. Lando and Ben co-piloting the Falcon, and Lando drops off Ben to save Rey. That actually would have been pretty cool.
You'd be like, have fun and be careful.
We just needed more Lando period in everything.
Yeah.
Have fun storming the castle. One of the scenes from the novelization of Kylo Ren interrogating Chewie. Man, that was rough. In the novelization, if you haven't read it, Kylo Ren is doing the same interrogation thing to Chewie to find out where they're going to go. But when he's looking in Chewie's mind, going through his memories, what he sees is himself as a baby, and he sees Chewie holding him. He sees Chewie teaching him how to shoot a gun. He sees Chewie teaching him how to ride in a speeder. And it makes it clear that like him watching all this stuff is actually part of the catalyst of him going towards the light. And then later, when Lando is back on the Falcon, he goes to the little closet that's actually Chewie's bedroom, which kind of makes me sad, but Chewie has no personal effects except for one thing, and it's a holo, and he turns it on, and it's him holding baby Ben. That's the only thing in there. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's too much. Like, whoo, whoo. Yeah, I know, I love it. All right, Meegs, Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine, Rey Kenobi, just Rey. Where you at?
I'm with I loved Rey Nobody, because I think it gave. This being said, I will say I do love Rey Skywalker, and I will get to that. But Rey Nobody to me was like this idea of you don't have to be someone from a legacy family to be powerful, to make a difference in the world, in the galaxy. But like that idea for each one of us, if we're facing some sort of big conflict or challenge in our lives, like you don't have to be, a Palpatine. You don't have to be a Skywalker. You don't have to be one of those people to make a difference in the world. That being said, Rey Skywalker, I'm ride or die with that name. Like she has been adopted into their family. She's found that belonging and connection. I think it's beautiful, and I love her.
Awesome, love it. And how about you, Rhonda?
I am also Rey Nobody, ride or die. Yeah, like I think that message is really powerful. I really strongly dislike that they made her related to Palpatine, because I feel like that like sort of undermines that message that they're trying to get across, and it also like ties her power to a man, which I really don't like.
Yeah, that line hurt me. That line is so terrible. You don't just have power; you have
his power.
His power. Oh, so it's not yours. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Rey Skywalker, I don't hate it as much as I used to. I wouldn't say that I hate it at all. I think what like the hang up that I have about it is the dialogue delivery. Like it's kind of on the nose, the little contrived, which I mean, Star Wars is cheesy in general, so I shouldn't be surprised. But I feel like if it was revealed a little more organically that she was taking the name Skywalker, I wouldn't have had that like strong visceral reaction to it. But yeah, I'm kind of ambivalent about her taking the name Skywalker. Like I can kind of see how she would want to, but it also doesn't completely make sense to me why she would want to. So I don't know. But if you love Rey Skywalker, bless you.
No, and that's closer to how I am on it. I mean, I did prefer the message of, I mean, I would prefer her not being related to Palpatine, but I do appreciate what that does to her arc in the last film of trying to overcome this of having this like, you come from darkness type of thing, where she has to figure out whether or not, well, this is my lot in life because it's where I come from. I do get that, but my thing is, I don't feel like she was supposed to be made a Palpatine. I felt like that was a concession made to appease fanboys. That's kind of how I feel about it. Palpatine returning could have been done a lot better, but as someone who's been reading all of the books and tie-ins and all this stuff, I could see the writing on the walls. I knew he was coming back for a long time, but yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. The ending, Rey Skywalker, made a lot of sense to me. I had mixed feelings at the beginning, but understanding exactly like where we started this journey of having in The Force Awakens, when she hears Luke Skywalker, he's real, and then you start to understand like that name meant something to her. And The Last Jedi, where it ends, where with Groom Boy, we find out that name means something to the galaxy, and her taking it, I honestly don't feel like she's taking it for herself. I think she's taking it as a baton pass for the galaxy at large. But that's where, at least that's the intended overall message. But yeah, there's a lot that could have been tweaked or changed in that movie. I feel like if they went to one less planet, you would be like, here's 25 minutes of more time to do the dope stuff. So that's kind of how I feel. But
I have one more thing to add to that. I figured somebody was going to talk about her like getting her power from a man and her heritage with Palpatine, and that's something that I haven't really talked about regarding my like relating to her, is that I have sort of a similar heritage in where I come from very, very bad people, and then was adopted by good people who counteracted what the bad people were doing. So that's why I relate to her, and why I liked personally why she was a Palpatine. But I fully get why people don't. And I fully agree with Rhonda about what she was saying about it. But it meant something to me to be able to see sort of my same story being told in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. No, that's
yeah,
awesome.
And I think we kind of like that's really beautiful. And And I think that we kind of saw that with Luke when he finds out that his father is Darth Vader. So it feels like almost a like not a complete like repeat of that, but it feels like we've already kind of gone through this before, that like, yeah, you can have an evil, you know, parent or whatever, evil origin, and, you know, still choose the light side. So I don't know, like, I'm still like, yeah, I get it if it speaks to you, and if it you know, if you connect with that, but I just, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I have you know, friends who, because of different life circumstances, had kind of been disowned by their family. And so this also, because at that point they become a nobody. I mean, I think there's family is complicated and it's weird. I talk about this myself on my dad's side. Um, um, my parents split up. My dad remarried a white woman, and she was previously married to a Filipino man. So that my dad and her had kids, and then she and her previous husband had kids. So when we went out to dinner, it's me, my little brother, my sister, and who my sister is technically my half sister and not related to my dad at all. So we have my sister there who's not related to anyone but me and my brother, me and my little brother. And then we have our mixed other siblings, and then they're half Filipino. Like it looked like a Benetton ad. Like it looked like if you're trying to recruit for a college and you want to show people diversity, that's what our table looked like. But I don't know, family's just weird. And it's nice to kind of show a lot more of that, you know. So yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff. But overall, to me, I thought the message of the trilogy was the difference between blood and legacy, right? Just because someone is your blood doesn't mean that person is going to choose to carry on your legacy, and you could have people that aren't choose to do so. I'm curious if you guys had any thoughts on what you thought the overall message was, and you know, let's actually go ahead and kind of start wrapping it up. So, what do you guys think of the overall message? That what we learned from Rey and her journey. What would you like to see from Rey and those characters moving forward? And then let's end it with where we can find you and all of your amazing content. We will start with Nerd Girl.
To me, the overall message is forgetting the past and stop letting your past and what people may have done to you, or what your parents may have done to somebody else, or what your grandparents, because that's what Palpatine is to Rey, is her grandparent, affect your future. Stop living in the past, look towards the future. And then I would like to see like animated shows like they did with the Clone Wars, and more books and comics and video games, and maybe even a short film about Finn and Rey, like teaching the next generation of Jedi and what they would do then.
Yeah, I would like that as well. How about you, Meegs?
I'm the same way. Okay, wait. So first, I think overall message, like hope and compassion. Rey is just an emotionally rich character. Her search for identity, her choosing her value, her worth, her sense of belonging, her family. Just a beautiful theme. I think it's important for us then to search for connection and love, and to find who we are, not by what happened to us, but, you know, by finding our worth and our identity. Things I would like to see in the future. So I am a big reader, and I would love some Rey books. some post sequels. Yes, like what are Rey and Finn doing? That would be a change that I guess I didn't say what changes I would love to see, but I would love to see Force sensitive Finn and Rey training just like the next generation. I would love to see. So I like Ben Solo so much, and I feel like I would love to see Ben Solo is stuck in the worlds. Is it World Between Worlds?
Between Worlds, yeah.
And like they have to go rescue him, and then it's like a buddy adventure movie with like Finn and Poe and Rey and Chewie and BB-8 and C-3PO, like R2, everyone, like get them all together. I want to see their adventures, all of them, just like the witty dialogue, the fun, the Star Wars. That's what I would love to see.
Awesome. I definitely need like Rey to be in trouble, and then all of a sudden a Dodge Charger rolls up, and Dom Toretto gets out, and Danza Kuduro starts playing in the background, and he's like, "I don't got friends, I got Skywalkers," and then Duel of Fate starts playing, something like that. I think we can make it happen. How about you, Rhonda? What was the overall message and all the rest of the stuff I said?
All the rest of it. Okay. I think that I think it's kind of I think the message is got a little bit muddled somewhere along the way, but I think like broadly, I think that we can say that Rey's story shows that like your past doesn't have to determine your destiny, or like what you make of yourself in the future. And I think that actually a lot of characters kind of have that same message in their stories. Like with Finn, like he was a stormtrooper and he becomes a hero in the Resistance. I think we could have done more with Finn becoming a hero in the Resistance. But I think, several characters in the sequels show that, you don't have to let your past weigh you down. If, there's things in your past that could hinder you, you don't have to let them, I guess. What do I want to see in the future? Like just with Rey, or just like Star Wars in general, or
both. Whatever that question means to you.
Well, I just want to see Rey in the future. Anything with Rey, I would love more Rey content, please. Yeah, I think seeing her train more Jedi, or more Skywalkers, if we're really going to lean hard into Rey Skywalker, let's have her train Skywalkers. In Star Wars in general, this is really out of left field, but I want the Jedi romance novels from the High Republic. I want to read those. I've been thinking about it for a really long time, and that's what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, we should get better with it. Actually, the latest issue of the High Republic Adventures canonized the concept of also like Jedi action movies or something.
Yeah.
Of like these little kid Jedis watching these things, and like the Jedi was like pulling ships out of space, and they're like, "So cool, we're gonna be that." Like, yeah, I think we should get try to go meta with it. Element 7 said, Rey Skywalker, why? I point to the poetry of a Palpatine corrupting a Skywalker to the Skywalkers redeeming a Palpatine. Reversal of fortune.
Aww.
And that's a great point. He sent it as a super chat earlier, and I missed it. I was so enraptured by you guys, so I apologize to my dyad. But yeah, that's a great point. Having one Palpatine like manipulate Anakin for all these years and all this stuff, and to having a Palpatine be the person that redeems a Skywalker. And not only that, but discontinues the Palpatine name. Like that's the biggest like FU you can give, right? No, I love it. And then, sorry, Rhonda, one last time, where we can find you and the rest of your content?
Yes. So I am on TikTok at Rhonda Talks About Books, TOKS about books. I am also on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram as Rhonda with a Book. And my blog is rhondawithabook.com. And my podcast is Pop DNA, and it's available on all major podcast platforms.
Awesome. We'll certainly check it out and definitely have everyone y'all back. And how about Nick? Your thoughts on the overall message and what we'd like to see, where we can find you?
The overall message to me, I thought, was that your identity is your own. It doesn't matter what anyone says that you should be, what your past says that you should be, or even what it feels like your future may dictate. It's up to you. You decide who you are and what you want to be. And what I want to see from Star Wars, I want to see more Rey. I don't care what it is or what she's doing. I want more Rey. But I really want more live-action Rey because I want Daisy Ridley back. Mm-hmm. I would love to see Daisy Ridley come back and John Boyega come back and play Finn and Rey again. I would love to see them training Force-sensitive people, as everyone's already said. I think that's something that a lot of people want to see. I think that would be awesome, making more Skywalkers. And you can find me on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram too at There Will Be Nick, and I've got like a link tree with all my other stuff on it where you can find my books and like everything else. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Myself, I said what I felt the overall message was, but from the future, I want to see I want to see more stuff beyond the Rise of Skywalker. I want Rey back to have been, like I said, starting her new order, whether or not it's the Order of Skywalkers or if Skywalker is a rank you eventually meet. But I want Broom Boy. I want to marry Blag. And I said this recently. It's a whole story I've cooked up. It's called Shadows on the Sand. It's Broom Boy, and he's still on Canto Bight, and he's so inspired by Luke Skywalker that he wants to learn more. He wants to train more. He wants to use the Force for good. And as he gets stronger, he starts feeling something call out to him. It's in the desert there on Canto Bight. He doesn't know what it is. And so each night he sneaks out and tries to explore and find the thing that's calling to him, but he's having trouble with it. He recruits one of his best friends to help him sneak out, and kind of cover for him. So he goes, and he finally, he goes out. He comes back to find that his best friend has been, like, it's been noticed that he's gone and that his friend is covering, and like the slave master is like about to beat his friend. He reaches deep into the Force out of anger, kills him right then and there. And then they're like, crap, they're gonna come back. The whole operation's blown. What do we do? We need to leave. So they free all the other kids and try to go out into the desert, but they don't know where to go. They can't go to Canto Bight because they'll be found. So they're going to try and find this thing that's calling to him. And they travel out, and they just he can't find it. It's just it's kind of ephemeral, And the other kids are like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and they end up going back to their life of captivity, except for him. But even his best friend leaves him. And the anger and the hurt that he feels from that impels him. And the temple rises out of the ground like the temple in Lothal. And he goes into it, and it's a dark side shrine. And he begins his path to becoming the next Sith Lord of the galaxy. And it's called Shadows in the Sand. That's what I want. And then whatever he does, and then he starts to look at it of like his time in captivity is what made him strong, and then they went back. That means that they're weak, and like he starts to get kind of warped, and eventually he's gonna need to be saved. Anyways, that's what I want for the future. That's my pitch. I wasn't expecting you guys to do story pitches. I just get excited about these things and have to go off on them. But anyways.
Oh, I also want more Rose Tico in the future.
Yes,
Absolutely.
We need more.
Rose.
More Rose, less Claude, unless that's a romance there. Some Rose X Claude.
Rose and Rey romance?
Yeah. We could definitely see it. Definitely see it. And then also, I want the Chiss. What are the Chiss doing at this point in time?
Yes.
I want them to
Yes.
come in. Another faction involved. Maybe take down the Grisks. I don't know. You got Miss Aggie on your side. Ray Rose.
Yes.
Absolutely. But
Dark side content, yes.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, give me some dark side content now. I feel that. I feel like we haven't like there's been some really great dark side stories, the Bane trilogy, the
Yes, give me that.
Plagueis, stuff like that in Legends. We need the equivalent in canon, and I think that's what we're gonna get with the Acolyte. So I'm super excited about that project as well. But yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap up and I give y'all your evenings back? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will absolutely have all of you guys back. You've sent me all your socials and things, so I can include it here on the channel. Meegs, we're gonna get you that cosplay. Also, check out Rhonda's podcast. I recently found out she has it. I haven't checked it out yet, but seeing how smart she is and her content, I'm all for it. But anyways,
I do actually have one final thought, though.
Go for it.
And I might embarrass you here for a second, Chaco, but I just want to thank you for fostering this community and always trying to uplift people's voices that we don't get to hear very often in this fandom, and I just really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
100%. Thank you.
Here.
I mean, I started this just because I wanted to find more people to talk about Star Wars with. So I appreciate everyone in this whole community, and we're taking over YouTube. So yeah, let's keep this whole thing going. All right, everyone. I will go ahead and end. Thank you for joining me, and may the Force be with you always.